Okay, welcome everyone. We have today with us a special guest, Dr. Fishel Mael from Baltimore. Dr. Fishel Mael is an organizational psychologist and an executive coach. He works with companies, government agencies, small businesses, and moisters of chinuch and chesed on ways to develop more productive, committed, and happier employees. He also coaches individual leaders in these organizations on topics such as setting better priorities, maintaining healthy relationships with bosses, time management, and work-life balance. And Dr. Mael is a Musmach of Ner Yisrael and the author of Sefer Shiftei Yisrael, which is all about the 12 Shvatim, their unique midos, and their contribution to Klal Yisrael. So thank you, Dr. Mael, for giving us some of your time and to be with us today. Today's topic is an interesting one and something that I like to discuss, which I see a lot of people are not aware exactly what the problem is. It's called not being busy. We have this need to always be busy. So the question is, why do we feel so compelled to always be busy? Why is it that the moment you don't have a mile-high stack of tasks or projects on your plate, we suddenly feel anxious and unsettled? So basically, busyness has become the new normal. Probably before COVID, and that's why people had a harder time in COVID when you couldn't be so busy. Some people try to continue being busy. So the question is, if it's a problem, what is the problem? So what that we will discuss today. So maybe Dr. Mael could start off, tell us what could be if it's a real problem and why it is a problem.
Good morning, Dr. Coach Menachem. Should start with Chazal recognize that not being busy is a problem. Chazal and Ksubas say that even if a woman has great riches, she should still have to have work in the house that she should do, because as Chazal's words say, Batol Mevide Shimum. Shimum is either translated as boredom or melancholy, mild depression. So that just not having structured time can lead a person down a bad path. There's plenty of research that says for most people, if you have long stretches of empty time, it'll lead you to mildly worrying, ruminating, second guessing. How did I end up in this situation? So it's somewhat natural that a person's energy level is going to sink a little bit when they have unstructured time, as opposed to, chuck people come making requests and demands of them. A person's workday is normally reactive. They just react to other people calling them. It's going to be even harder because they're not used to structuring their own time. Be planful. People who work for themselves often have an advantage in that they already know they have to make a daily schedule. And finally, the person's used to being around coworkers and customers, and on top of not being structured, they're going to have some isolation and loneliness, which is its own set of negative effects, short-term and long-term.
So I hear a little bit of positive and a little bit of negative. So in a way, it's good to be busy so you don't have all of these thoughts. On the other hand, could be being busy. You don't have to feel you're busy all the time. So how do we know if it's the right busyness or not? And before we go to the next question, I'm just trying to see, to understand the negative piece and the positive part.
Well, not being busy has the advantage. A person can actually step back and think. I know you are just stepping back and thinking every once in a while. They're just hurtling from one place to another. But for most people, there's a comfort involved in having a schedule and knowing I have to do this and I have to do that. To make so many choices. Well, we know that choices overload people when there are too many choices, too many options.
So you're saying you should have a few minutes in your day which you can relax and see where you're going, what you're doing. But most of the day, it is a positive thing to have structure.
Sure. I mean, there's a reason why we have mitzvahs, Shezman Groma, especially for men. Structure is a very good thing. But as a lifetime crutch, when we end up with the Corona, where you don't have the ability to be busy, many people will fall apart more than others.
So what attitudes or emotions make not being busy even more painful, like now or during COVID, make it harder for people?
right? So somebody identified about 30 years ago what's called the cult of busyness. We value in this society being busy as almost a status symbol. It goes like this. Picture two people who have contracting business, and one says, "How you doing?" He says, "Oh, I'm so busy." It means I'm more popular, I'm more in demand, I'm more valued. If you're less busy, you're less chashuv. But more than that, if I'm busy, it gives me some intrinsic value over the next person. If I'm busy, I don't have to wait for people. I can just show up at the last minute to things. If I'm busy, I don't have to be courteous. I don't have to return phone calls they said I would return because I'm too busy after all. If I'm too busy, I don't have to do things I don't want to do. If I call you up and say, would you come to a parlor meeting? You say, oh, I'm so sorry, I can't. I'm tied up. I have 5 meetings. You're off the hook. If you don't, you have to make excuses. Either can't be a good excuse or you're going to go and you're going to resent why you had to go. So it's an all-purpose protection, and a person who's not busy becomes very vulnerable if they buy into this. There's also a certain, their time becomes less valued. Till now, it's like, don't ask Tati to do this because he's busy. Now it's, Tati, why can't you do this? Why can't you help me? Why can't you to go for a walk around the block? The truth is Tati's a little on edge because he's not busy and he's less motivated than usual. And when he was busy, he said, oh, I wish I had time in the afternoon to take you for a walk or take you for an ice cream. Now Tati has time, he doesn't have the cheshek. So he's going to feel even worse. The mother might say, I finally have a husband around to give a helping hand, yet he's more lethargic than he would normally be. Not even mentioning what happens when a person can't do their regular responsibilities. They can't get out of bed in the morning to go to davening because they're down, because they don't have the shield of being busy. So to a certain extent, if you buy into this cult that your value is defined by how busy you are, not being busy is going to bring out a certain amount of shame and stigma. A person may not even want to let anyone know that they're not busy. I've often noticed if you're in a development and none of the fathers are outside and you have time to walk your kid in a stroller, they're going to say, why do you have time to walk around with a stroller in the middle afternoon? What's wrong with you? If the person buys that internally, then they're going to be ashamed. They're not even going to want to walk outside to do that. And with shame comes being secretive. It means instead of confiding in friends, I'm not busy, or I'm worried about parnas or whatever, it's like, I don't want anyone to know that I'm not busy. The person pulls himself away from other people. The person becomes secretive, they get lonely. Loneliness is an adjunct to depression that can have very long-term negative effects.
So you're saying there is a shame and a stigma to walk around and just be relaxed, and people will see, hey, why are you sitting around and not doing anything? So there's that, the environment, today's day and age that you feel. Um, what could a person do that it shouldn't bother him? I'm saying at the end of the day, he's embarrassed to walk around not being busy.
Person is buying into something which is sort of a myth, because I don't know that other people are giving as much thought to why a person's around then as they're giving to what it looks like. I don't think other people are looking that carefully, or maybe some are secretly envying person. I mean, you've seen now the last few months, some people go for a walk in the middle of the day with their wife because they're working from home, and some people don't. I think the
Right.
ones who do are a little more secure in themselves, that don't have to justify why they have time to carve out some time in the middle of the day.
Right. And another thing that I'm hearing is also it could be they're running away from something. People want to be busy so they don't have to, like you're saying, be busy with the kids, or not so much as stigma and shame, but they don't have the patience. So while they're busy, everything is fine. They don't have to deal with the things that they're really running away from, or could be relationships or other things. So that's an important awareness, something that has to be worked on.
Yeah, like now that I have the time, I still don't want to do it. What's my excuse? Well, now it's like someday.
Right. So what could a person do to lessen to have less of those effects. I'm saying you would say he should make sure he stays busy. The question is, he needs that balance of.
Sure. Like you said, it's an opportunity to learn something. I can tell you what will make it worse. For starters, if you fill up that space with mindless distractions like surfing the internet or talk shows, it'll be temporary medicine. Like getting drunk in the middle of the afternoon will be temporary medicine. But the person is going to spend the time worrying about things that don't matter, and they're going to feel very empty afterwards. What did I do with myself? Or I finally had the time I thought I was going to, learn that Seder, write this thing, do this effort, fix a thing in the house, whatever it was, whatever project, and I can't even do it now. I'm going to feel better because I spent 6 hours reading every side of the question of George Floyd or not George Floyd or what have you, or politicians. It's not going to get you anywhere. Towards to do things that make you ashamed, whether it's drinking, overeating, gambling online, what have you. And a person an even deeper thing of guilt. And feel that they need the crutch of being busy to be even functional. One thing busy in itself because it has values. Nothing is busy is my only escape from being self-destructive. That's not going to help very much. If you break your structure, if you stop going to Minyan, I know there was a discussion on your Sunday night show about people who sleep till 10:30, 12 in the day. And I think part of that is to shorten the day.
Yeah.
4-hour day is less painful than a 12-hour day.
True. Well, they don't want to face certain things they don't want to face. So when they're in bed,
Yeah.
they don't have to face a lot of things.
But
I know that certain people have a harder time when things are opening up now.
Mm.
Because, okay, it's a little bit different. They have to go back to the regular routine and facing the world, which wasn't so comfortable till now. And now the whole thing stopped and they were home and they didn't have to face those issues. So that's the other end of this.
People are enjoying being at home.
Some people are enjoying being home. Yeah, but I don't think they're busy at home.
Right.
Could be when they're out in the world, they didn't feel busy enough, and they had that shame and stigma. Now they're not out in the world, so they stayed home, so they didn't have that shame. So it's harder for them to go back.
Mm-hmm.
So some people have that.
Well, some people had the unresolved things at home, and being together too much shows that there was problems in marriage. Some people had the opposite.
Exactly.
Normally it was fine, but the boss is horrible, or the subordinate is horrible, or they're misfit for the work, and that's the other hat that I wear.
Exactly. So what I'm hearing is that basically this problem of feeling that when you're not busy, basically you need to have the balance. You have to feel productive, do things that you'll be productive, feel good afterwards, not just things that will keep you busy, obviously, because after a while, if you don't feel productive, you just feel worse.
Right.
And then you should have some time of the day when you can relax. And I think they say if you want to be more creative, come up with more ideas, that only comes when you can back up, stop from all the busyness, and then you can be much more productive. So you should have a little bit of that. But for sure, to have too much of that can be a problem. So the question is, how can one grow from this whole experience? So I guess everybody has a different experience. Some people, like you said before, some people like it at home. Some people want to get out of the house. And I'm sure everybody has their growth. Any ideas how people should grow from this before we go back in Mitzvah Hashem to back out in the world?
Let's just go back for a second. You asked me a question for what can you do to make the effects not be as bad. Then we'll talk about how you can grow from the experience.
Okay.
Like we've been saying, person's not so busy needs to be more planful and proactive. I mean, they need to step back. You've always mentioned about just kind of letting their mind roll, but you need to have a meeting with yourself sometimes. A number of people you had on the other night were saying how they've used this as a time to step back and say, how can they grow their business? Now's the time a person can step back and say, what would I do if I could recreate my career in a better trajectory? Maybe they've been commuting and they got such a rat race they didn't realize there must be another option. What would it take to convert the jobs, either to work from home or work in a more local regional area, opposed to schlepping into Manhattan? So now's the time to take advantage of it. One thing a person might have noticed that getting out of your own head is very helpful. Many people found if they just make a list and call friends, which is easy to do during shutdown because everybody's home. They can't claim that they're off in a meeting somewhere.
Right.
But just to get it out of your own head and get to other people. Doesn't have to be the same. You don't have to commiserate about the same problem. It could be some other problem. Somebody may be alone in the house. They may be a widow or divorcee or have a difficult child, and you can hear them, and you'll feel much better about yourself getting out of your own box. It's always good to have things in life which have continuity. In other words, you may have a regular thing, 12 hours from the time I leave the house till I get back from work, and then run to Seder, and then you have backups that you can come to without a lot of concentration. One person, it might be, I have a heavy night Seder, but I don't do Mishnayos, but to pick up a Mishnah on a dime, do 10 minutes productive, or I could do something in Parsha, I could do something in whatever the topic is. So now I have some continuity, a fallback that rather than just despair, I do something productive in that time. I hope people realize that physical activity is very helpful for them. You sit in the house and not move the whole time, where you could actually, plenty of ways to get moving. That will reduce depression and loneliness and a lot of these other feelings.
Physical activities like exercise.
Definitely. And finally, think about this cult of busyness. Think of how business defines you. I use it as an excuse. I use it as a crutch. I think that could be very helpful. In terms of growing from the experience, people have gone back to work now. I think it'd be very helpful if they reflect on what it felt like to not be busy, what it felt like to be dependent on other people, waiting for other people to return calls and stuff. So that, well, sort of like the pasuk says, "Tiger misim v'beretz Mitzrayim." You go back and people need stuff from you. You say, "I'm too busy." Let them, figure out for themselves. I don't have a job for them. I don't have a business for them. I don't have a shidduch for them. I don't have anything. Think twice to say, no, it feels like a real slap when a person is vulnerable. Maybe I don't want to treat it so cavalierly. Like we've been saying, you don't want to jump back into the overcommitted lifestyle. If you saw that it was good to give your kids 5 minutes a day, don't stop that. You're not gonna understand, that was just a fake out and this is real life. There should be a new real life, which is a real life. You shouldn't mistake being busy or being planful in life and having purpose in life.
It's just the opposite.
Exactly.
Sometimes, yeah.
In small amounts, it's a bracha, and if you carve that out, whether it's alone or with your wife, with your kids, the chaver.
Right. If you do more time management, if you know exactly what you need to do in that day, you probably could fill it in 2 hours, right, and then have extra time. But if you don't know what's going on, you don't know where you want, you're not organized, then a whole day you're busy and you get half of it done.
Right. People must have a relief sometimes that they were busy all day without thinking that it was not productive. They didn't have to think about it. It was justified time. Exactly. I work with companies sometimes where someone can't keep up with what the company's doing, and their role is to go back and forth to, Home Depot or something. Go get a brick of this, and then go back and get a stick of that. And they don't realize this is just wasting all day, but at least they can have bragging rights of being busy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a life in a way. Not for us.
Right. I think deep down, it's avoiding things you don't want to face, or maybe you're not clear, or you have to make a phone call that day, you don't want to do it, so you push it off to the end of the day. It's things you don't want to face, the hard things. And I think, I see by myself, sometimes when I'm not in a good mood, or I have to make a phone call, or if there's some hard task, I would find myself organizing. It could be organizing in my desk, putting away papers, and I'm like, why are you doing that now? And
Maybe
then
you might not make the phone call.
I know why, because this is something else I have to do, and I don't want to do it now. So I have to be able to stop myself. But just the awareness that it's subconsciously it tries to avoid from certain things that you don't want to face.
Mm-hmm. People lie to themselves, they lie to other people. You know, you call an old friend and said, I so mean to be in touch with people, but I'm so busy. You weren't too busy to make a phone call in 6 months. It was always not the priority, or it was too difficult an effort, or it was.
But they mean it. I think they mean it. They're not aware that they could stop. We live in such a busy world. I'm saying it's interesting now that we're going through this COVID. It's so things stopped. Sorry. But before that, you have most people are running around, being busy with their routine, and no time to stop at all. And we're so busy. I'm saying even especially now, the mothers in the house taking care of the house with some with jobs, they don't have those few minutes to stop and just take care of themselves to be able to continue. And we're saying we're so busy, and then I think we could run into the problem of burnout if it's at a job or if it's at home. If you don't stop and think, what am I doing? What can I give myself to fill up, relax, and then continue? And after a while, you're like, it just gets burnt out, the whole thing.
When a person says I'm too busy for something that they value, then they're not busy and they still don't do it. And it shatters the excuse that it was because they're busy. They have to really face and say, I don't want to do that. It's really uncomfortable calling my old aunt or something, or it's really uncomfortable, trying to run again and say that I can't run. I think a person can go back now and say, I wasn't doing it because I was too busy.
And what should they do if they don't want to do it and they have to do it? Let's that work.
What is left to define have to?
It's a job.
Maybe they structured it wrong. Maybe I'll use the same example. Maybe relatives stayed on the phone for 25 minutes, and there's a way to structure it that you have to do it 10 minutes before you have to go to a meeting. You get in the quality, if not the quantity. Or something is done in a way which is unpleasant or involves people that are unpleasant, and say, is there some way to do it instead of all or nothing? This may have family simchas, or may have responsibilities to go to events, fundraisers. They find it very unpalatable. There's some way to renegotiate that activity. It doesn't have as bad taste. Do you find with simchas you go to more, you're over busy than you need to be?
Well, if it's a simcha that you don't want to go to, then you become busy. Very interesting. Okay, just one more question. I'm just wondering if in your practice, do you ever have anything like meditation come in? Any ideas about meditation?
It should. A lot of the people I work with wouldn't hear of it. They're still getting used to the idea of confining period. Not all my clients are from. I've had people tell me you're the first man I ever spoke to openly in my life. I think somebody in their 50s and 60s has been managing large entities. So meditation may be the next step beyond.
Wow. So yeah, because I'm putting together a very short course for beginners, for real beginners. Because I think also in our world, most people are not familiar what it is. And I think for this issue that we're discussing today, to be able to take a few minutes of your day, not even for a long time, just for a few minutes, just to sit and be aware of your thoughts. It's really focusing on your breath, and you become aware of your thoughts, because there's so many thoughts in our head that control everything that we do all day. Because everything we discussed today, some people are not aware of, because it's like subconscious, whether it's things they don't want to face, or people are looking at them, the shame and stigma. All this can be subconscious. And the way how to become more aware of it is to be able to find a few minutes a day and relax. It's okay that you're not running around. It's okay doing nothing. And then you see these thoughts coming in, if they're positive or it's negative. So then eventually you can take it to the next level wherever you have to, whether it's negative thoughts, to realize are they true or they're not. But just to find that few minutes. So
I just share a related idea with you. I do find with my coaching clients, I'll ask them a question, which is like a bomb question. They'll say, "That's really good. I never thought of that." And then they have to answer within 5 seconds. I said, "No, don't answer. Sit down, think, deeper than you've ever answered." It's sort of like when you're at a meal and somebody asks you a question and you're in the middle of chewing a mouthful. Part of you says, "I cannot answer right away. It looks like I don't have an answer." But there's a downside to answering with a full mouth of food. So you learn to be patient and just look down at your plate. And life will go on. So when somebody asks you a question or raise an issue in your life, go back. You don't have to be muchen. You don't have to jump in right away. You
Right.
should
It's
take the time
interesting.
and think it through. I think it's related to what you're talking about.
Right. Interesting to see how two people have a conversation.
Yeah.
Back and forth. And sometimes they're totally talking about two different things because everybody's in their own head.
Right.
And saying their own experience, and they're not listening to the other person. So that's you have to answer right away, because if I'm not answering right away, it's a little bit awkward. Just be quiet, just to stay quiet. That's very awkward. So let me answer. If you didn't hear what he said, just relax.
Exactly.
Understand his question.
I've had this very positive experience with a little exercise where we might be stuck on something and I say, "Menachem, you know what? You tell me what I'm saying. I'll tell you what you're saying." It's surprising how neither of us heard what the other one's saying at all.
Exactly. I think they teach it in Shalom Bayis to be able to say, okay, so what I hear from you is, to be able to say, I hear you saying A, B, and C. And you'll be surprised many times they answer, no, that's not what I said.
It's not what I meant.
That's not what I meant. Oh, okay, so tell me what you meant. Oh, now I get you. We're totally, I thought something else. And things become clear.
I thought you were attacking me and you weren't
Exactly.
attacking me.
Exactly. Okay, thank you very much. This is
My
really
pleasure.
a lot of interesting awareness, information. I'm sure many people will enjoy. And if they want to reach out to you, how can they?
My website is Mael Consulting, MAEL Consulting.com. You have my phone number there or my email address. I have some articles all about leading and managing and working, functioning. My Sefer is available in good fine Jewish stores. Shiftei Yisrael.
Beautiful. Okay, thank
Pleasure
you.
working with you, Menachem. Have a lot of tzlacha with the ongoing programs.
Amen. Thank